Eta for praising my son differently than my daughter. Throwaway account plus obligatory mobile formatting apology. I, 52 meters, am the father of 3 kids, 15F, 7F, and 7 meters. The last 2 are twins, and are very close, having the tendency to copy each other. I love and adore them all equally. My son is not a very masculine kid, and is less interested in some of my hobbies because of this. He has always preferred whatever his mother and older sister did, like baking or dancing. I have no problem with this. I love him as he is, but to be honest, I'm slightly disappointed that we haven't had the kind of amazing father-son bonding that I got to have with my grandpa. My dad died when I was pretty young, when I was a kid. Since I'm at home almost all the time now, I've been seeing just how feminine his interests have gotten, asking to help cook every meal, helping his older sister alter second-hand clothes, and playing pretend. Has even asked to have his sister paint his nails. I'm not upset or bothered by it, but it isn't typical for young boys. I've been working out at home instead of at the gym because of our current circumstances, and when my son came in, while I was lifting weights in the family room, he showed an interest in it. He was excited about the idea of having big muscles, and tried out some of the 5-pound ones, even though he mentioned being like She-Ra from some new Netflix reboot. I think it was still progress in my eyes, and it seemed like he was showing interest in masculine hobbies. I praised him, and did the whole "wow, you're so strong" thing kid talk to encourage him. When his sisters walked in, the twin, 7F, joined in. Like I said, they have the tendency to want to do what the other is doing, so she expected the same kind of "wow, so strong" stuff when I wasn't as enthusiastic with her and focused on my son. My oldest got annoyed and asked why I was treating them differently. I explained to her that because he hadn't taken interest in these kinds of masculine hobbies before, I wanted to foster his own identity as a boy separate from his twin sister. She accused me of being misogynistic for this. She then said that I was tough or making his sister feel weaker, and implying that I didn't approve of his feminine interests. I don't think him tough, because there's no reason for my daughter to be inclined towards this kind of thing, but my son should be developing a more masculine personality as he gets older. When she told my wife, 41F, she also blew up at me, saying I was acting like a cartoon misogynist. Both of them are pissed. So, Reddit, Eta, edit, vertical bar. Hey everyone, I was 100% Tara. I appreciate that some people tried to empathize and say NTA or not to be charitable, but I'm in the wrong here, and I knew it deep down. While I was writing the post, rereading it, I feel ridiculous for writing that all out. I want to say thank you, because these comments were the objective kick in the ass I really needed. I realize now that I was really out of line for saying that shit and making my daughters feel that way. I set up a stupid false dichotomy, and my daughter was very right. I was being a misogynist, no excuse for that. I apologized to both of them and my wife an hour after I posted. I also shared this post with my little brother, who, as I mentioned in a comment, was teased for being effeminate as a kid/teen, especially after he came out. I think some people took me mentioning that as blaming him, which wasn't my intention at all. None of my behavior is his or anybody else's fault. We talked for a while, and that, along with many of the comments you guys left, made me aware of how badly I'm treating my son. My grandpa, who raised my brother and I for most of our lives, was a manly guy who I've always idolized completely. Well, my brother made me aware that my grandpa in particular made him feel shitty about his femininity and his sexual orientation. He would regularly say degrading, terrible things. I was oblivious to just how much that hurt him, and it seems that I've picked up some of these same ideas. I've been such a dick for so long, and now that I realize how absurd some of the ideas I've held on to are, I know how much of a disservice I've done to my boy. I shouldn't try to make him change just to protect him from bullies in this situation. I'm the bully as much as it hurts to think. I'm planning on talking with him about this issue and apologizing if we can this week. I want to let him choose something that he likes, that we can do together. I'm not going to make the same mistakes my grandpa did at my brother's and some Redditors' suggestions. I'm considering trying out therapy or a support group after a mistake, huge duck up, like this. I think I ought to try to be the best dad and big brother I can be and work to stop thinking that way, especially when I've already done so much damage. I'm sorry about the extremely long edit, but thank you for your responses and helping me with this issue. I showed my wife some comments and she also thanks you all. Edit 2 vertical bracket colon this will probably be the final update, but wow, I'm overwhelmed with all the responses. I wasn't expecting so many. Thank you to everyone. I'm glad you guys were honest, but still encouraging. I'm sorry I haven't been able to reply to you all. I got a lot of really kind and personal messages and I want you guys to know I've taken it to heart. Some people asked what I'm going to do with my daughters, since it seems like I focus more on my son in the edit. My oldest wants to try Krav Maga, so in the coming weeks, we're hoping to find a place that'll accommodate both ages. Youngest daughter has wanted to learn how to roller skate too, so my 15-year-old may have to teach us both. I was able to talk to my son for a while this morning and apologize for yesterday talking about gender roles and all the trauma surrounding my grandpa. Maybe something I'll talk to him more about as he gets older, but I got the message across that I support whatever he's interested in. I asked him about She-Rap. Some commenters told me that it's fun for adults too, and we watched a few episodes together. You guys were right. My oldest and I both thought it was very cute. I asked him what he would want to do together, and he mentioned trying to alter something. I brought down a box of my old stuff from the attic and lo and behold I found one of the 80s Hawaiian shirts my grandpa bought me, probably an effort to make me look like Tom Selleck, with some guidance from my oldest. We're going to try to make it fit my son with room for him to grow into it. I think it'll turn out nicely, and because it's really vintage my 15-year-old loves it. So everything is pretty good right now. I invited my brother over, lives a few hours away, for dinner so my son and I can make him something. I can't believe that I was feeling upset about him liking baking and everything. I'm lucky that my boy wants to help everyone, so I'm definitely but I'm slowly becoming NTA. Thank you all. I showed my oldest some of my favorite comments and she thinks they're great, and I should expect a Clown of the Year award for a Father's Day gift. Haha. Welcome to /r/amitheasshole. Please view our voting guide here. Link. Reddit. com//amitheasshole/wiki/faqi_what 2019 Sweet Noims 3f underscore what underscore do underscore they underscore mean 3f and remember to use only one judgment in your comment. Help keep the sub engaging. #DONT downvote arseholes. Do upvote interesting posts. Click here for our rules link. Reddit. com/r/amitheasshole/about/rules/ and click here for our FAQ link. Reddit. com/r/amitheasshole/wiki/FAQ. I'm a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit /message/compose/ to/r/amitheasshole if you have any questions or concerns. You say it doesn't bother you, but then claim that you expect your son to develop more masculine interests when he's older. That doesn't fit. What if he gets older and all his interests remain exactly the same? He is a person, not a toy you can program. And it kinda comes off bad when you frame it as negative, that he's trying to be more like She-Rap. What's wrong with him having a female role model? And then call it progress when he shows interest in something you approve of. Also, you seem to have a strong interest in your son developing a unique identity. Do you foster this in each of your daughters as individuals as well? Or do you not care because they're both female and you just throw them into the same category? You seem to have a strong interest in your son developing a unique identity. It seems pretty clear he has a strong interest in his son developing a masculine identity based on Op's version of appropriate masculinity. Of course, separate from his sister's feminine identities. Although yes, if it turns out as Op envisions, it will be unique to his sisters because they will stick strictly to feminine things. Opus. Yes, not for trying to help him develop interests as an individual separately from his sister, but for so clearly treating them differently on the basis of gender. You say his feminine interests don't bother you, But then you go on to say that you're glad he's developing interest in a more masculine activity. The way you're differentiating between genders, inclination towards certain activities, which is complete nonsense, and the fact that you seem more interested in bonding with your son than your daughters is going to cause your daughter to resent you later on. Also, how on earth is doing basic household chores like helping out with dinner feminine? It's not 1950. Boys should develop the same basic skills as girls, and that includes cooking and cleaning. Edit. Also, the idea of a masculine personality is just ridiculous. Personalities are just personalities. They're not attached to particular genders. Edit 2. Well done op for showing some introspection and realizing where you went wrong. I'm slightly disappointed that we haven't had the kind of amazing father-son bonding that I got to have with my grandpa. That's on you. Opus. You meet your kids where they are. It's almost like your kids are each individual people with their own likes and dislikes. Wow. Crazy. You build close relationships with love, compassion, and understanding. You are never going to get the closeness you want with your children until you accept and love them for who they are. If you keep wanting them to be different so that you can accept them, you will truly miss out. Your kids are amazing, unique, and beautiful human beings. Love them as they are. Stop with the expectations and give them unconditional love. This isn't about them. It's about you and your preconceived notions of who they should be. This will get you nowhere. /you/supposed misogynist. This right here. Meet your kids where they are at and encourage them with what they love. My dad wanted my brother to love sports. My brother loved cars, both masculine things. But my dad had no interest in my brother's toy cars. Dad was disappointed that bro wasn't into sports. Brother has always felt that dad never loved him because dad never showed any interest in the big thing that he was passionate about. It poisoned his whole self-image. Don't let this happen to your son or your daughters. Proactively get involved with your kids' passions. Show interest. Fake approval if you have to. Encourage your kids to do what they love. They will remember how you make them feel. If they feel supported, they will remember your love and support. If they feel judged or ignored, they don't see that as you not liking their hobby. They see it as you judging or not liking them. Also, continue to show your hobbies to your kids. Exposure to the things you like to do will diversify their interests. Show all your kids the things you like to do. Then you can build bonding moments with whichever of the kids has common interests with you. Much love. But right now, you can do better for all your kids. Deleted. Also playing pretend. That is such a normal and healthy thing to do as a child. You can pretend to be anything. It's not gendered in the least. Not person. I'm answering to. Seriously. As a child I often were the mother, the father, the baby, the pet, and once I was a benevolent apple tree. My initial reaction was no. You just got excited you found a common interest with your son. But then you get to the last few lines of the post. Because there's no reason for my daughter to be inclined towards this kind of thing. But my son should be developing a more masculine personality as he gets older. The fact that she has no reason for an interest in lifting, and that you think your son needs to have a more masculine identity is misogynistic and a little toxic. Plenty of professional chefs and designers are men. Your overall perception is the problem. Agreed. It's alright for him to be a little sad his son isn't interested in the same stuff as him. That's perfectly fine. The problem comes with how he is treating his other kids differently, and also, his definition for what qualifies as feminine interests is whack. He should be happy his other kid has an interest in what he is doing regardless of gender. My dad only has a daughter, and I think I was treated pretty much the same as he would treat a boy. I went on fishing trips, shot guns, fed the farm animals, and everything else. When I took an interest in getting healthier and going to the gym, he was happy. He taught me how to use the machines and even got me a membership without any fuss, even though he's cheap. That's how dads should treat their children. Obviously don't force them into your interests, but don't assume they won't be interested because of their gender. And certainly don't discourage them like Op is doing. Note that his daughters don't appear to have any more similar interests than his son does. He's only concerned about not sharing things with the son. You sound like my dad. I no longer have a relationship with him. He also tried to foster what kind of people children should be based off gender too. Of course he never saw himself as a sexist or misogynist. He just saw things the way they should be based off our genitals. Despite his insistence otherwise, I have always felt he loved my brother more, because my brother followed gender roles better than I. I know he's more proud of my brother. Biology and society was once the excuse for why whites and black were separated. We have moved on from that now, and realize how absolutely a shalish it was. It's the shameful part of our history. Gender roles are no different. Get with the times, and encourage your kids to find what makes them happy. You're right. Society will criticize them, and steal their happiness. Do you want to be part of that, or do you want to be a support, and give them courage, to be happy in spite of what the world thinks? You're very right. I owe my entire family 1,000 apologies. Thank you for your comment. I'll be editing my post in a bit, because of new developments. But in short, I've apologized to my wife, brother, and daughters, and will be apologizing to my son once he's awake tomorrow. I'm glad to see that. I hope it's more than a sorry though. Best of luck to you and your family. If you weren't bothered by it, you wouldn't have typed the first 2 paragraphs. Hypocritical much, because there's no reason for my daughter to be inclined towards this kind of thing. My god. R of the year. You really are a misogynist and a sexist. There is no reason for your daughter to be interested in lifting weights at 7 years old? Question mark? Question mark? Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. I hope for her own sake she doesn't get into sports. I can only imagine the reaction. Itter. How dare my children enjoy exercising and cooking? These aren't necessary skills to have. Don't be ridiculous. Men can cook, as long as it's with a grill, or over an open flame while on a hunting/camping trip. Women can exercise, as long as it's some sort of dance class. Otherwise you end up with confused children who are active, and can cook for themselves. Could you imagine the horror of male chefs and women's sports teams? Your daughter was right. This is very misogynistic. You've expressed outright disappointment that your son has predominantly feminine interests, which, like, do only girls cook? Do only girls have imaginations? Question mark. There is absolutely nothing wrong with things being feminine, but those aren't even girly girl things. Also, why are you so against your daughter having masculine interests? Which, again, is illogical. Women also lift weights. It for more reasons than one. Opus. Hope you do some introspection. Cooking is a feminine interest because only women eat. That's why the culinary industry is predominantly female. Like, every famous chef is a woman. There are no male chefs. Same with fashion design. /s. Can confirm. Am a male. Do not cook. Do not eat. This is the way. Itter, of course you are. For the reasons your wife and daughter explained. What even is a masculine interest, and why does your son have to have them? He can be interested in whatever he wants, and you need to treat your children equally. Yeah, itter for being a misogynist, and your daughter already spelled it out really well for you, but you're dismissing her. All your kids are interested in these activities, both the ones you deem feminine and masculine, for the same reasons. They can do them together with their siblings and parents. They want to lift weights because they want to do something with you. They don't see baking as feminine and weightlifting as masculine because they are not gendered activities. You're the one introducing these toxic concepts to your children, and applaud your daughter for calling you and your toxic bullshit. Go apologize to your kids and then do something fun with all of them without worrying about it being gender appropriate. Itter. Please stop calling particular activities feminine or masculine. Cooking is not feminine. Lifting weights is not exclusive to men. Fingernail polish is primarily used by women, but please believe me, plenty of men, ESP ages 25 and under, do use fingernail polish. You may not be a raging misogynist, but you are entrenched in misogynistic thoughts and mindset, and you need to really examine yourself before your kids grow up and realize what an asshole you are and end up despising you. I don't get how cooking is feminine. It's like a necessary skill to not die of starvation. Plus Gordon Ramsay and all the chefs would have a word. Oh, did no one tell you? Men actually photosynthesize. But your Reddit shows a lot of maturity. As an older brother and dad, it's difficult to recognize that you have hurt the people you love. But it sounds like you're taking the steps to make it up to them. I highly recommend taking up the suggestion on therapy or a support group, as the more you realize your mistakes and how your grandpa treated your brother, the more difficult it'll be. But you can make it up to them still, you just need that reminder, which is where therapy and support can help. My dad is much like you, and constantly encouraged me through backhanded ways to develop more straight or typical boy-loving girl behaviors. I'm a lesbian, and it damaged our relationship. I wish you the best of luck, and if you ever want to chat with a stranger in a similar-ish situation to your loved ones, feel free to shoot me a PM. Bookmark this post so that if you ever feel like you're changing your mind, you can read the advice in the comments. Thank you for your comment. It always stings being a parent or older sibling and realizing that I hurt people I should be protecting. I definitely need to seek therapy over this and get a better grip on how my grandpa impacted my and my brother's development. Definitely, just don't lose sight of your love for your family. I've seen so many people begin journeys of self-improvement or awareness and then become frustrated by their own mistakes and end up regretting. Also, your daughter sounds amazing and smart for her age, so clearly you and your wife are doing some things right. You say you want the kind of father/son bonding you had growing up, but clearly it has to be on your terms. You could have these moments. How about you show some interest in his hobbies? You say you accept him for who he is, but you really don't. Your daughter and wife explained why. They're absolutely right. You should be encouraging all of your children and the things they take interest in. I read this after you read it. I'm so glad you're able to see where you went wrong and are making an effort to change your outlook and your behavior with your kids. In addition to finding something to do with your son, please find an activity to do with each of your girls. That can even be exercise and strength building, but do your research on what's age appropriate for the younger ones and how to adapt exercises for a woman's body for the older daughter. Our shoulders are a bit different, for example. My oldest has always been interested in Krav Maga, and it seems like they usually accept kids 5 and up. I really appreciate your comment. Krav Maga is great and very practical skill. Ask your oldest if she'd prefer to do it solo, or if she's open to you and or the twins trying it out with her. Do your research and visit a few different schools before settling on one. If there aren't multiple Krav Maga schools in your area, visit a couple other martial arts places. It's amazing how much difference there is in personality and teaching styles between schools, and the best way to realize that is by trying a few. If all the kids start, but only 1 or 2 stick with it, that's okay, let them do that. They'll each find their own interests over time. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.